Hi, today's field note is about the Meridian, Mississippi indictments that were announced yesterday, and they were against 4 police officers that were indicted for embezzlement. I brought in a legal expert, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓, who happens to be my son. He is practicing right now in Washington, D.C., and but spending his quarantine here because Washington's shut down till June or July. So he's going to be here. I'm cooking meals. And okay, I'm attempting to cook meals, and I'm attempting to not burn them. So he grew up on a lot of, yeah. So anyway, we're making it through the quarantine. So people sent in questions, and one of the questions was, why the U.S. Attorney? What does the U.S. Attorney do? What's their job description?
So the reason a U.S. Attorney would have to be involved is this is a federal case. So they work for the federal government, prosecuting the federal government's cases. This is not a state matter. It will be before a federal judge or a federal jury, probably a federal jury. And they are just the people who oversee the investigation. They'll help coordinate with the FBI to actually get the case to trial if it ever gets there.
And for the federal government to be coming in and looking at these 4 police officers, someone wanted to know if that embezzlement was just opening the door to look at other things. Is embezzlement a big charge, little charge?
So embezzlement's a big deal, especially to the federal government. They don't like it when you steal from them, and especially if it's stealing money from them. So the way I read the article, and I haven't read the pleadings or anything, but it seems as though these people took federal government money and used it for themselves. They transferred it from the city's coffers and put it into their own pockets. And because the federal government had given that particular city and that particular department money, they are embezzling the federal government's money. To answer your question as to embezzlement, I think that's a pretty big deal for the government. They care about that. They will prosecute you if you steal from them.
Usually, do they go to this level of announcing it if they did not have a good case? Would they have sealed it? What's the standard here?
So typically you seal an indictment if you don't want the defendants to know. You want to continue investigating, but you don't want to let the cat out of the bag so that you can identify additional potential defendants or try to identify if the network is larger than you already know. In this particular case, they were indicted in November, and the indictments just came out recently. So it does seem as though they were really trying to flesh out exactly how large the investigation needed to be.
Now, could this open up looking at other parts of the government, for instance, and I'm not saying the mayor, but just the mayor's office or the city council or something along that line?
I mean, so I'm not an attorney. I don't work for the federal government. I don't do any of those kinds of cases. But if it were me, I would think that they would start at the 4 people that they've identified and look at who their known connections are. They would then go to other people in the police department. They would go to other people in departments that work closely with the police department. And that could include the mayor's office. It could include other parts of the government. You never know what they're doing, but.
Could there still be sealed indictments in the case?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
You don't have to release all of your indictments at once, and you don't have to indict everyone at the same time.
That's a interesting way to do it. Makes people nervous, right?
Yeah, but once you've unsealed some, you have to think, if I'm a 5th person, let's just say that I know these guys and I'm somehow involved, and I see that they're indicted, you've got to start getting nervous. So the fact that they had 4 that were released, not more, does suggest that they've really narrowed the field to people, to those 4 people. If they were going to indict more, either they already have the indictments or they think they've pretty much tied up that it's just these 4 people.
Okay, and let's see. Could these 4 people be cooperating with the federal government to lessen their charges, trial, or what do they have to look for?
So this is just basic game theory. There's the idea that the first person who turns is going to get the best deal, and then the other pieces are just going to fall in line. I would be shocked if these cases actually ever made it to trial, just because most cases never do. But yeah, any of them could be working with the federal government. These 4 could be working with the federal government to identify others. That said, it could just be that they're going forward and proceeding with just these 4 individuals. You don't know.
Right. No, nobody knows. And so they're going to have their day in court, and we're going to watch what happens. I think it's very interesting that these indictments came down. I appreciate you answering the questions, and I'll have them answer some more questions. As you guys get them, I'm happy to do these little field notes, and please be safe. I know many states are starting to open, and let's all be nice to each other, and I look forward to doing another field note. And I appreciate Charlie for coming on and doing this with me.